You're now listening to All Hog Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimpson.
Now the Arkansas Razorbacks are on a 3-game SEC winning streak. We beat Ole Miss on Wednesday at 76-59 at home, went on the road and beat Vanderbilt 92-71, and beat Auburn at home. That's the second time we played Auburn. We got the sweep on the series, winning 75-73 in an impressive comeback win where we were down 19. Really good win. This is the first 3-game SEC winning streak under Coach Musselman. When we were sitting at 2-4 in the conference and a lot of people were scared about this season, he turned it on and has won 3 straight here in SEC play. Some good, bad, and ugly. Good. Bench points were really good. Devo played really good against Ole Miss. Note played good against Ole Miss. Sills played really good against Auburn. Having players come off the bench and perform well is important in games because not all games are your starters going to produce like, you would hope so. So to have options to come off the bench and really get going and put points on the board is important, and it's big. We've also been able to limit the other team's top guard. And I know Sharif Cooper still scored 25 points on us, but he would arguably have a lot more if we did not do a double-team trap on him. And then Tate guarding Scottie Pippen Jr. against Vanderbilt. It's important to do this, but you also can't let other teams' players go off against you because you're going to have these really talented teams where you can try to do a double-team trap on their best guard, but they're just going to pass it to their other guard, who's also an NBA draft prospect, and he's going to score on you. So when you're playing really good teams, that's difficult to do, but when you play a team that is really like one player heavy and this player makes a big impact, limiting them is important, and we were able to do that on Cooper against Auburn at some capacity, and then we did it pretty well against Pippen for Vanderbilt. Rebounding has been really good this year. I don't think a lot of people are really talking about this. We're leading the SEC in rebounds per game at 41.6. Last year, we were dead last at the end of the season at 31.6. And you have to think Coach Musselman saw that weakness and went to the transfer portal like he does every year looking for players and said, all right, I need guys who can rebound. So he got Jalen Tate, a guard who can rebound. He signed Moses Mundy, who's been pretty good at rebounding as well. Vanover's eligible this year, and he also got Justin Smith out of Indiana, a big transfer prospect who's a great offensive rebounder and defensive rebounder. Just a really incredible job by Coach to see that weakness and go out there during the offseason, pick up a couple key players, and then work with that in practice. Another thing is they do something what I call team basketball. This means just sharing the ball around and really getting the offense going by passing the ball. That's the most important thing in the game of basketball is to pass, and the more passes you have, I feel like this team is going to be more successful. Now, I really don't know that there's much bad to talk about when you're winning 3 straight, but I feel like a little bit of something that can be thrown in that bad category is just slow starts. The Auburn game was really bad. We got to a 19-point deficit, but when you overcome that deficit, it really doesn't matter. But you don't want to put yourself in a hole against talented teams. The other 2 games were fine against Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. I mean, we didn't start hot, but we didn't start cold. It was just average. A lot of teams play that way. That's just how basketball works. And I'm not really too concerned about this unless it's something that starts happening on the regular where we get down 10 points in the first half. You just can't do that against top teams. And I think ugly could be we have certain moments in the game where we turn over the ball a ton. But then we stop it. That's why I'm not putting that in the bad category because I don't think it's horrible and we can't control it. There's just a couple points in the game where we're going a little bit of a run of just turning the ball over, and the other team usually can score some points, assuming they have a pretty good fast break offense. Points leader on this team, though, is Moses Mundy, still 16.6 points, and he is number 6 on Bleachers Report's mock draft, NBA draft board, and this is one of the top NBA prospects, I guarantee you, as we watch a lot of these Arkansas games, so are NBA scouts. The way he works that shooting guard position is just really versatile, and he's also a really high-volume shooter when he gets going. I was talking about Justin Smith earlier, and the Hawks are 12-1 when we have him. The rebounding leader has the only team loss with him on the floor against number 1 Alabama Obviously, Alabama leading the SEC, doing really good there. The team plays a lot better with him on the floor, and I think this attributes to his experience and starts at Indiana. And the assist leader on this team is Jalen Tate at 4.6. And he's done a really good job of limiting turnovers as of recent. And he's also the three-point percentage leader on this team. He kind of had an off year last year because he had a hand injury, but he's been able to reestablish his shot. And he's one of the guys that will honestly pass the ball to, and he'll go up for three, and I feel pretty confident that it's going to go in. Some other notes, though, is we had some players who got out of some slumps. JT Note got out of a slump, played really well against Ole Miss. Vanover got out of a slump and had a big game versus Ole Miss. 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 or 5 blocks. It's kind of disputed there. And he stuffed Romello White, one of the best SEC bigs. He hasn't really been playing his best ball the last few games, and he saw it and put in the work in and improved. That's what I love about good players who really want to, better themselves for the team. And this just sticks out to me. Desi Sills is so important to this team. In the Auburn game, he came off the bench putting up 20-plus points again. As Jalen Tate called it, he's the War Eagle Slayer. He just plays really well against Auburn, but he's also been playing pretty good after. I think he's got his swagger back, and when he plays good, the team plays good. You'll win a lot of games when you have double-digit scores. You have Moody, Note, Sills, Tate, and Smith all averaging double points per game. And then Devo Davis' hustle off the bench is just unmatched. There's so many positives, especially when you have an SEC winning streak. This Saturday, we got the Big 12 SEC Challenge at Oklahoma State. Arkansas travels on the road to an Oklahoma State arena that should have around 3,350 fans in attendance if it's full capacity at 25% limited capacity. Now, Arkansas's record is 13-4, 5-4 in SEC play, but it really doesn't matter too much because this is the final out-of-conference game before March Madness if we make the big dance. Right now, on Joe Lunardi's bracketology, we are still in the big dance, but on the bubble. Some things that Arkansas needs to kind of fix is just turnovers and key moments. You don't want to let that happen to you. When you get down and you need to score, you don't want to have to turn the ball over. Transition defense against a fast-paced offense. You can't be giving up fast break points because your defense isn't getting back in time and it's just an easy layup for them. And then you want to limit potential mismatches with players one-on-one, and you can do this running zones, traps, many options to get out of that. Some things to keep doing well from that 3-game winning streak is obviously rebounding. The way this team has rebounded, especially on offense, has been really good this year, especially as of late. Scoring, we're the number 1 team in the SEC in points per game. Obviously, you put more points on the board, you're going to win games. I know that sounds really, cliche and all, but, it's just true. You score more, and you can kind of give yourself a little bit of relief on defense. Playing team basketball is also important, passing the ball around, all that stuff. Carry momentum on a 3-game winning streak. If you're winning games, you're playing your best basketball, and you just want to keep doing that. And when a team gets hot, they'll likely stay hot. Chemistry with the starting 5. I think we'll go with the same starting 5 we did the last 2 games. And then free throws have been really good, and then also trapping the best player and trying to limit their player-making ability is important. Now, my projected starting 5 for this game is guard Moses Moody at 16.6 points per game. He had a pretty quiet night versus Ole Miss just because he didn't take the normal volume of shots he does, and then you just kind of passing the ball around, and there's no reason to force that. He also only played 19 minutes when he averages 30+. Each time he has what I would call a slump game or, just not what he normally does, he usually has a big game the next one. And we need him against a good team like Oklahoma State. Jalen Tate has done a really good job running that point guard position. He's been able to limit his turnovers and then really surprised me with his 3-ball. And we need him to limit Cade Cunningham if he plays. I'll talk about that more later in the Oklahoma State section. However, he had a tooth injury against Ole Miss, and he was at the dentist on Thursday, but I think he should be able to go. Guard Desi Sills is a really important role on this team. If Sills gets going, the team gets going. Stay open for opportunities if they guard Moody really hard and then Tate can't get his 3. to land. You want to have Sills open to get easy points, and putting layups up is important, and every single time he falls on the ground, he gets right back up. He's one of the toughest guys on this team. He had a dunk against Ole Miss, and he fell pretty hard. However, Muss said he should be fine. Connor Vanover's coming back off his first game in SEC play, and I'm interested to see if they go with him or Jalen Williams. I just went with Vanover here because he had a really good game against Ole Miss. I think, though, Musselman will watch how he plays against this Oklahoma State team, and then, see if we need to sub in Williams or let Vanover play, because that's what we did against Georgia. Georgia runs a up-tempo offense like Oklahoma State, and Vanover only logged 3 minutes. It's hard to say who's going to get the starting nod, but I think regardless, we're just going to see how they play and monitor off that and just make coaching decisions. Justin Smith has done really good at power forward, getting rebounds, leading the team in plus or minus numbers, and that's really evident when you look at the win-loss column when he plays as well. However, he did not practice on Thursday, and Musselman said they'll see how he feels on Friday. That was really all we heard. So from that, I would assume he's questionable for this game. And then during the Ole Miss game, he fell after getting a rebound and hurt his ankle and yelled out a cuss word on TV, went with the trainer, and eventually came back out. However, he really didn't look 100%. We knew, he's been limited in practice and hasn't really practiced every single time he plays because of this ankle injury. You hope he doesn't re-aggravated it. But I will update everything on my Twitter at AllHogSportsPod when we know the true starting five. Guys you want to watch for off the bench is for Jalen Williams as well. He stepped up big time when he gets his more minutes. When he gets past those freshman mistakes, I think he'll get a lot more playing time as well. Devo Davis had a couple of those, and he's played really good ever since. And Moses Moody, same situation there. Guard JT Note, second in points per game on this team. He's just off the bench getting things going. This is your sixth man that you have come out on the floor, and then you make big impacts in the game. And then you could also run 2 point guards at times with Tate guarding Cade Cunningham, and then JD Note running the offense. Guard Devo Davis and forward Vance Jackson off the bench as well. This is a really important game because a loss, I think, still puts us in the bubble. But if we win this, I think we're solidified in the tournament. At the time being, a win is a quarter-one win, and I think it could kind of pull us away from this bubble spot in the right direction. Now, Oklahoma State out of the Big 12 is 10-4, and their starting five is a little bit confusing due to COVID-19 protocols. So here are some impact players for this game. Guard Cade Cunningham. He's being mocked as the number one overall pick in the NBA draft. However, he's not played his last 2 games due to COVID-19, and I'm making this on Thursday, so things can change, and we may get an update soon. So on my Twitter at AllHogSportsPod, I'll update you if Cade Cunningham is going to play, and then also any news around Justin Smith. After Monday's game, the head coach of Oklahoma State said he's still day-to-day. He's getting better, and the situation has to deal with conditioning, and they're following COVID-19 protocols. Lots of things can change. However, I'm assuming he's playing for my preview and predictions and all. It's 17.8 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists, 1.2 steals, and 1 blocks. He's the projected number 1 pick for a reason. His stats prove it, and you got to have a guy like Jalen Tate, on him, and, it's hard to clamp a guy like Cade Cunningham just because he's that good. So you want to be able to limit his ability to score and then also set up plays. I wouldn't be surprised if we did a 2-team trap, kind of like we did against Sharif Cooper in the Auburn game. However, I'm sure there's a lot of film that Oklahoma State has studied to break that 2-team trap. Isaac Likekele, he's really good shot selection, and he is a double-digit points per game guy for Oklahoma State as well. He's the assist and rebound leader on this team at the guard position. When you have a rebounder leader who's a guard, that means they're very versatile, and I think Isaac fits that role as he's also the assist leader. He does it all on the court. Rondo Walker really interests me because he stepped up big last game on Monday for Oklahoma State when Cade Cunningham didn't play, averaging 9.9 points per game, if Cade doesn't play or if we go with a two-team trap, this is the guy